Hi, this is Ashish Kar, VP Product Management at Araali Networks. As security practitioners, headlines like these make us cringe. In spite of our investment and effort, we are unable to prevent damage. Perfect posture is unattainable. Instead, we have to build capabilities upfront to prevent intruders from achieving their objective. Dealing with cloud is equally complex. As part of the shared responsibility model, you have to securely program your cloud controls. For example, for cloud resource, you need to configure your IAM with least privilege policies. Similarly, Kubernetes brings its own set of controls with completely different configuration paradigm. Finally, apps running on virtual machine have to rely on traditional controls like virtual firewalls and security group. Misconfiguration in any of these leads to overprivilege that attacker can abuse to move around in your environment and cause material damage. Timely detection is equally complex because we have to correlate logs from multiple sources. It is often very hard to find actionable alerts from a mountain of logs. We created Araali to give you self-configuring controls along with actionable alerts. Our insight was to dynamically create normalized service identities using endpoint context and build a rich graph of how these identities interact with each other. These normalized identities could be running on virtual machines, Kubernetes, or even behind an API. Yet, you get a very consistent view. This graph can be used to explicitly authorize every good resource access or to deny any malicious interaction. Araali shielded apps are unexploitable and won't talk to threats, even if they have stolen credentials. It prevents both fileless and file-based malware from creating backdoor or engaging in any bad activity. The best part, Araali can even handle zero-day threat as it's based on principles of least privilege and no signatures are involved. But wait a second, who writes these least privilege policy? This is a big differentiator as Araali automatically discovers consistent least privilege policy across any resource. Yes, you heard it right, not just cloud resource, any resource. And it doesn't stop here, as Araali allows you to integrate these controls as policy as code in your DevOps pipeline. This means you can bring pre-discovered Araali policies alongside your app with your code to start in a shielded mode. For brownfield apps, to prioritize your shielding journey, Araali analyzes your runtime and creates a risk-based Pareto of process which might be running on VM, Kubernetes, or serverless across any public cloud. It marries elements like vulnerability, unused open port, access to data and services, container privilege, keys on disk, file integrity, IAM policy, placement, and many more to identify your top vulnerable process. With these deep insights, you can prioritize your action. But unlike other products in the market that only does detection and prioritization, Araali doesn't stop there. It gives you the ability to proactively seal these risks to reduce your exposure with a single click in a very consistent way. It also constantly monitors your runtime to detect deviation from the baseline in a very deterministic manner. These alerts are intrusion attempts being made by attackers. Araali deploys with a single click and uses a patented technology to build rich context centered around workload identity in your runtime instead of doing heuristic or ML on the logs generated by your app or infrastructure. When you mine logs after the fact, you are trying to put breadcrumbs without any app context, which will eventually lead to false positive. You can tune your tool to reduce noise, but then you will miss false negative, which means attack goes under the radar. With Araali, our customers are confidently bringing their own controls to the cloud so that security is not left at the door. Some of the top of mind IDS use case includes monitor egress to third-party sites and command and control as seen in Equifax attack, monitor supply chain attack and ransomware as seen in SolarWind, and full visibility in your runtime, including your apps and their associated risk. Similarly, the IPS use case includes vulnerability management and vulnerability sealing to prevent vulnerabilities from getting exploited. This is especially useful for 0 days or in cases where no patches are available, as seen in initial part of Log4j. Access control to database and critical services, including third-party services, as seen in Capital One attack. And finally, proactively or reactively neutralize threats to stop them from moving laterally and exfiltrating your data. Araali is eBPF based, no sidecar, no blind spot, with no performance penalty. Araali also offers you very rich APIs to integrate with your existing enterprise environment. For example, you can integrate Araali with your existing security tools like SIM, SOAR, or even with vulnerability management tool like Tenable and Qualys. You can also send alerts to specific team on Slack, email, or other tools using Araali API hooks. Finally, Araali is already DevSecOps ready to allow you to quickly mature and strengthen your security practice. With Araali in your arsenal, you could have defended against a whole class of attack that have made headlines in the recent days, like backdoors, supply chain attacks, over-provisioned IAM, and finally, default configuration, for example, default password. In summary, with Araali, you get consistent controls that are delivered to you in a very DevOps-friendly way, which allows you to build true resilience in the cloud and allows you to survive any intrusion attempts. Thank you.